After the wedding songs fade. In the early days, marriage felt like a continuation of celebration. The house still carried echoes of laughter from their wedding. Also, Abbey fabrics hung neatly in the wardrobe, smelling faintly of perfume and happiness. Tola would sometimes open it just to look, as if the colors could remind her that she had stepped into something beautiful. Kunal, on the other hand, moved through the house like a man adjusting to a new pair of shoes, fine on the outside, but slightly uncomfortable when he walked too long in them. They were both Yoruba, but from different homes, different rhythms. Tola was from a structured household in Ogun State, where mornings began before sunrise and responsibilities were shared like sacred duties. Kunal grew up in Oyo State, in a home where things flowed more freely, where no one really watched the clock too closely. At first, these differences felt small. Almost invisible. Until they weren't. Mornings became their first battlefield. Tola would wake up early, moving quickly between the kitchen and the bedroom, preparing for work, her mind already racing ahead of the day. Plates, food, clothes, everything had its place in her mental checklist. Kunal moved slower. He would stretch, scroll through his phone, and sometimes ask, casually, "What are we eating this morning?" It wasn't the question itself. It was the weight behind it. To him, it was normal. To her, it sounded like expectation. And expectation, when unspoken, can feel like pressure. Evenings told a different story. Kunal was used to being out. Late nights with friends, business talks that turned into laughter, the easy freedom of coming and going without explanation. Marriage did not erase that habit overnight. So he tried to reduce it. But not enough. Tola would sit in the living room sometimes, the television playing without meaning, her eyes fixed more on the clock than the screen. Each passing hour felt like a quiet reminder that she was adjusting faster than he was. When Kunal finally came home, he often carried the outside world with him, noise, energy, excuses. And Tola carried silence. There were nights they argued. Not the kind of arguments that break things, but the kind that slowly wear people down. Words repeated in different forms. Feelings explained, but not fully understood. "I can't do everything alone," she would say. "I'm trying," he would reply. And both of them were telling the truth. That was the problem. One night, after a particularly long silence between them, they lay on the same bed, facing opposite directions. The distance between them felt wider than the room itself. Tola stared into the darkness, her thoughts heavy. Had she rushed into this? Kunal, awake on the other side, asked himself a different question. Was he enough for this kind of life? Divorce was not spoken. Not directly. But the thought hovered quietly, like a visitor neither of them invited but both could feel. Change did not come like a miracle. It came on an ordinary Saturday. No work, no rushing. No escape. Tola was in the bathroom, struggling with a bucket of clothes, her movements sharper than usual. Kunal stood at the door for a moment, watching. Really watching. For the first time, he saw not just what she was doing, but how much she had been carrying. Without saying much, he stepped forward and took the bucket from her. It was a small action. Almost insignificant. They began to understand that they were not fighting each other. They were adjusting two different worlds into one. Love, they discovered, was not the loud thing people celebrated at weddings. It was quieter. It was in shared chores on a tired evening. In waiting for each other. In choosing to stay, even when leaving felt easier. Months later, their home felt different. Not perfect. But settled. There were still disagreements, still moments of frustration. But now, there was something stronger holding everything together, understanding. One evening, as they sat side by side after dinner, the air calm around them, Tola rested her head lightly on Kunal's shoulder. "This is not what I expected," she said softly. Kunal smiled. "Me too." She paused, then added. "But I think I like what it is." Kunal nodded, his voice steady. "We're building it." And that was the difference. They stopped trying to have a perfect marriage. and started creating their own. The end.